we cannot afford to ignore boys anymore, because we cannot afford to have a woman empowered so much, but they don't have a place to thrive.
Yeah.
And we are so focused on the woman, but we are not looking at how to make her environment conducive for her to express her empowerment.
Yeah.
The boy, if is empowered as well, will know where to support the woman.
Hmm.
How selfish that is, eh?
It is kind
Because we
of a
want,
collaboration to me.
yeah, we want the woman to express that empowerment. But if we don't give her the conducive space to do so, then it's useless.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to PSP Bold and Fear podcast. And today's in the series of social entrepreneurship, we have Maureen Opondo from Kenya. And today we are going to discuss a very, very interesting topic. Quite surprisingly, we are two girls, two women sitting together, and we are going to discuss men today. So before we dive into the subject, let's get a background of Maureen. And so, Maureen, can you give us a glimpse of your life, what and how it has been?
Okay, thank you very much, Pooja. It's an honor to be in your podcast today. So, my name is Opondo Maureen. I'm from Kenya, and I am a female entrepreneur. I met Pooja at UPG Biashara, and she's been a lovely girl. So that's why I had to come here. So today, well, I'm actually a digital entrepreneur, meaning I'm a social media manager. I'm a virtual assistant, and I have a history in training in journalism. So because I wasn't so much fan of going to a normal studio and doing all the stuff, I decided let me be in a place where I can work online but still be able to do what I love. And what I love is actually podcasting or radio or television. So I'm a founder of Boy Thrive podcast, a podcast that focuses on the man and trying to just open a discussion around men's health, men's role in the 21st century, men's the kind of things that affect them now, what responsibilities they have, where are they struggling. And I thought that if we discuss about female empowerment, it was imperative that we also include men, because a woman wants to live in an island, she needs a man. And by me needing a man doesn't mean that she has to live with a man as a husband or whatever. But the society is made in such a way that we have a man and we have a woman, and they have to live within the earth space. So they have to coexist. And the only way to coexist is to be able to think at almost the same wavelength. So when you realize that when you empower a girl, you put her at a higher wavelength, her thinking totally different, changes, because we are told that when you empower a girl, you empower the whole community. So here is a girl who has been empowered, and this girl has figured out that there is something that is lacking in the empowerment. That means that the man has not been put on board so that he can handle this girl who's empowered. So Boy Thrive is trying to balance these equations so that the man also has a say, the man feel like he's valued, because we all know that, they call it that a lazy man or an empty drum. I don't know, it's the devil's workshop or something. Yeah, so we don't want them to be in a place where they feel less valued, because we are more valued. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter whether you are a girl or a boy. What really matters is you are a human being with the breath of life, and you need to live to your full potential, loved and responsible, productive. Yeah. So that's where Maureen is coming from, and Maureen is very passionate about the boy.
Yeah, I like it because when to be honest, there are two podcasters sitting here on this particular episode, one from Kenya, one from
Yes.
India, and we as we love to discuss boys in general in whatever capacity that we want them. So whether we are dating, whether we have our siblings, our fathers, our husbands, our sons, we love to discuss boys, but it doesn't happen on a global platform. Honestly, like we don't discuss on a big screen. So
Yeah,
I like that.
we love actually we love coming to girl groups and telling each other about how we're disappointed about that date that went wrong, how that guy really hurt me and all that stuff. But we don't really face the men and tell them, hey, you did this and it hurt me. But what exactly, why, what is the reason why you hurt me? Because you are coming from a place. So what is this place? That is what we don't discuss.
True, honestly, yeah, I completely agree. So, it is going to be a very interesting take because I come from a background where I have a younger brother, I have a father,
Mhm.
and I have gone through a lot of personal experiences which hasn't been very pleasant to me. And right now, I am find myself into a position where I am thinking, ki what kind of men do I want in my life, and what is the role of that particular man in my life, and how my life is going to be, and how can I facilitate which is much more fulfilling to my personal needs. At the same time, I'm not demeaning the other person who's going to enter my life. But Maureen comes from where she has a husband and she has a family and she has children altogether, so she can give us like two different perspectives. So we are coming from two different countries, two different perspectives.
Yeah.
So I want to know, what is it that you have found out which has inspired you to talk about men in general? We are not targeting a very specific group or very specific trades of men. We are talking about men. So
Mhm.
what got into you of getting inspired and starting this?
Mhm. So one major thing that really is the beginning of all things is that you actually never realize the beginning of it until you think and try to reflect back, like, where did it all start? I was born by a lady who hadn't completed her school. She had a child out of wedlock, and the father promptly disappeared. So the lady, when you're a lady, you have to carry your burden, show
Yeah.
your shame to the world. Like,
Yeah.
you're no way, yeah, like, oh, you're the one who did this and ended up like this. So she was in that kind of a situation. So because she wasn't able to take care of me fully, I was kind of adopted by a close family, and I kind of just changed everything. Like, my life just was different from hers. They raised me as their own. My name is actually their own surname, and I am theirs. So while I was growing up, my family, my new family, the father was totally present.
Mm,
He was an officer. My mom was a tailor. But that was a typical African setting where the man works in town, probably sent to different places. Being a police officer, you're sent everywhere.
yeah.
But the mother was there, being present, being a foundation, being everything she can be within the resources she got. So when as I grew up, actually, I didn't grow up in a place I learned. I wouldn't say I grew up in a place I learned. I had my daily bread, and I went to school, and I got what I could get within that setting. But I realized as I was growing up, like, there was a disparity in areas. Like, in our home, our brother could come and, prepare some mandazis for us. And he could, take part in the cooking. But generally, the major work of us girls was to be in the kitchen, take care of the family and all that stuff. But you grow up and you learn that, your experience is yours until you come to meet other people, and you find that some families, you find that the girls have to be in the kitchen so many times, the boys have to be out. But being out does not define exactly what they're doing out there. So
Mm,
you'll find that they are just, whiling away their time. Most fathers are in the cities working, the boys with the mother who's very busy trying to just keep you guys together. So they lack in that kind of mentorship from the male figures.
mm,
And if it goes like this until a certain age, you realize that, okay, there is a problem, because the girl has been really, really trained to be the maker, the homemaker of the family, but the boy has been left to his own devices. And that comes with the disadvantage, because when they now come to a place where they are in a marriage, for example, this is a family that now needs you to be a leader. They
mm,
need you to be the priest of the family in terms of being spiritual and all that. But the man cannot step up to this responsibility because he's not been raised to do this. What he knows is that he can go out to work and come back, bring the money, and sit and relax, wait for things to be done. But we are in a 21st century, and you find that a woman also goes out and works very hard and brings the bacon. So there are two bacons brought in, but who is to prepare it?
mm,
Because we are all bound by time, we don't have enough time. So the only way is, if you want a woman, for example, in my case, my husband wanted a girl who can work, bring in the bacon with me, so that we help each other. The economy is so bad that if we let the burden to one person, I think resentment can grow in. So I'm that girl who I'm so open to my husband to take. I take care of things I need to take care of. He takes care of things he needs to take care of. But when sometimes we reach at a point where now he has to draw back to his being the normal African woman where he wants things done because he's brought in the bacon. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm not that girl no more.
Yeah.
Because now I go out with you. So we need to redefine what exactly is your role, what is my role. And if we don't put those kind of things together, then it means we are all just partners. We are supporting each other in everything. If I wake up, I'm too tired, you're gonna do the dishes. If I wake up and you're too tired, I'm gonna put the cows out. So it's just like we gotta help each other so much that there is no more defined roles. But the truth is that God created us differently. We
Yeah.
process things differently, we react to things differently. But the most important thing is to appreciate what other people can do. And this comes from the very beginning. Like, do I have somebody whom I have seen doing these things? For example, has my father been that man that I could see doing things? Could he go to my mom and help her with even the kitchen stuff? Did he do things that made me feel like that was normal? Because if I was raised with somebody who didn't think that was normal, it takes a toll on me, and it's like trying to relearn a new skill.
Yeah.
And you really need to have around someone who really is patient with you. But remember, you're looking for someone who's really patient with you, who has also been brought by different values. For example, in my case, I'd say my dad washed his own clothes when he could, when he had the time to. So when I come to your house, I expect you to wash your own clothes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if you find that is very abnormal for you, you will struggle to do it. But I will feel like you're wasting me because you're not supporting me in the ways I need.
Mm.
So how do we then take care of this? The place we take care of this is by starting to recall the Ben back from the fields into the house. Listen, we are here. We are a family, but more importantly, we are a team. How then do we discuss about issues? What is it about you that I should know? What is it about you that you love respected? Because men thrive in respect. But it is hard for a woman to respect a man who is not also helping, or a man who is not stepping up to his responsibility. A woman won't submit to someone who is not a leader.
Yeah.
So you have to first show leadership. So that is where we are like, there is something missing. Boy Thrive is trying to like discuss what is this missing, not only from a woman's perspective, but also from men's perspective. And that really helps to identify where the problem is and try to now talk about it. The only way we're going to solve something is if we're willing to talk about it. So basically, that is it.
True. I see your point. I can guarantee onto this, whoever is going to listen to this, they will understand what you're talking about, because we have gone through there is certain learnings that we have understood, and we expect ki, oh, because I have learned this thing in my past, in my family, this is what is expected,
Mm,
and why can't, and these are the smallest stuff. Like you said, your when
mm,
your father had the time, he was cleaning the clothes of whole family when he could, but at the
mm,
same time, these are very minute stuff. So
mm.
for a woman's point of view, this is such a small thing that why I have to come and explain you to do this.
I think that's majorly the reason why women and men disagree a lot, because a man will come home and remove his socks and put it on the floor. I will come and I'll be like, I just can't get it. How do you just remove your socks and put it on the floor? On the floor. Don't,
Yeah.
I mean, did you see a basket somewhere? Did you see somewhere we put clothes that are dirty? Why the floor?
Yeah.
But he will be like, I'm tired. I just need to relax. And that, now that's a fight, because it is this women are very very particular about small things. Men are particular about big things, because men think logically, women think emotionally.
Yeah.
So I think with my heart, you think with your mind. Those are two different places of thinking, and to just like combine them becomes a problem if you don't sit and actually talk about it.
Actually, and it is very simple. I can say that as a woman, we need to learn the skill of articulating from our brains. because we can't leave that thing aside. But yes, we are predominantly designed biologically to work from an emotional point of view. That gives us the incentive of being a woman. At the same goes for men also. They are designed to think from their brains, but at the same time the heart exists. So it is not one person responsibility to learn the skill. It is both the person. uh, Apart from this, there is one point which I like to highlight is, yes, like you mentioned, um, girls has been trained because of the issues that we have faced in our communities, in our homes, and the problems that our previous generation and saw, and they decided, oh, let's empower girls. But at the same time, yes, they have forgotten what it is to be a man and what are the things that they require, so that we bring the balance back. So
Yes.
yes, initially the power was off. Today, women are getting empowered. Sometimes they are much more empowered, but at the same time, when we look into the other perspective, there is a lot of disbalance. And I can give you an example when it comes to particularly men, which I have been hearing a lot frequently. It doesn't matter if it is coming from my parents or it is coming from the community. I keep hearing, and all my girlfriends also, they talk about that. The one line we receive in particular is, the men in our life come and say, we don't know how to support you. So you do you, I will do me. So that and it is very simple. It is a very given thing that we don't want conflict. Everyone want peace and happiness in their life. And what I can see is, yes, when it comes to leadership, men are, I don't know whether they need to be trained, they need to acknowledge, or they need to learn. I don't know what that right terminology is. But yes, when it comes to the taking charge of the situation, and when they understand that, that is the first line which I have been hearing very frequently, that we don't know how to support you. And that is very
No,
disheartening for girls and for women in general, whether you are single, whether you are married, or whether you have kids or not.
yeah. Mhm.
So, what is your
No,
take on
for a man to know his role, he has to copy it from somebody, because we are born out of a community. Community is now you and me. Before we would complain and say, the community is not very supportive of this and that. The community has made girls this and that. Until that point where you're now grown and you're the community. So when now they're blaming the community, remember you are the community,
that?
and that really hits hard. It really hits hard when it gets to that point. It was easier when you're younger, you could you could blame the community, but now you're part of the community, you're gonna do something about it. And it is hard. For example, for me, if I grew up in a family where my dad was present, when I get married, I want my husband to be there. And being there is not being on your phone all day long. If you're gonna be on your phone all day long, you're not there. I'll still count it. You're physically in the house, but you're not there.
Yeah.
So you gotta be present. Present, like my kids are in the house, they wanna play with somebody, you're gonna play with them. They want to ask you silly questions, you're gonna answer those questions. Don't tell them, come, go to mom. Because when you tell them so many times, go to mom, next time they won't come to you. Then they'll reach a point where now, the puberty, they'll deal with the rebellion, the mom will be there. Then they become adults. And now they start looking at their mom as a small god, but you do not exist. Why? Because all the time they came to connect with you, you sent them to mom.
Mm, yeah.
But if you are not aware about this, in my case, if for example, my kid comes and they go to their dad, and the dad tells them, go to mom, I tell them, tell dad he's a leader.
That's a very interesting point.
Mhm. So I'll tell her, go tell dad he's a leader, and you need direction. So he
Hmm.
goes, he just understands what I'm saying because we've talked about this. I've told him we need a leader in our house, and you are husband, you are the top. I might be the top in many ways, because at
Hmm.
the end of the day, most people in my community actually are the people who lead the way. But I don't want to be in a point where my son does not realize the importance of the father, and
Hmm.
my husband does not lose his voice with his son, because if he loses it at this point, he'll never get it back. The only time you control and mold your child is when they're younger. When they become teenagers, they now start being themselves. They
Yeah.
now start expressing that which you built in them. So whenever he forgets, because he's not brought up that way, Whenever he forgets and send them back to me, I'll tell them, go back to the leader. Tell him he's the leader. And then he'll get the cue and get on to it. But the boys have to have, you start changing the community when they're very little. If you start waiting for them to be at teenage years, there's nothing much you'll do. So when they're still little, the man who's in the house, whether it's an uncle or a brother, whoever is older than the younger one, they have to show some level of involvement. If they're going to the farm, let the boy go with him to the farm. If they're coming to solve some, let him see that there is a leader in this place. That leadership will not leave him. Whenever he grows up, even at workplace, you'll find them taking over leadership. Ask me why I'm always finding myself talking, and I don't know if it's overshadowing people. Is because my father was sure that I was capable of it, so he let me talk. Yeah, so he'd come home, and whenever we'd have those sessions where we'd sit. He worked in the city, so when he came back, maybe of leave or something, we'd sit down and everyone would share what they experienced during the time he wasn't around. So I got the idea of being able to express myself. But those moments were also nasty, because when somebody reported you of misbehaving or doing something, you'd be whipped right there and there. So we realized that whenever you're giving your account, remember there's responsibility. There is a repercussion for whatever you say. So I grew up able to be very, very able to talk about how I feel. And I kind of express that with my family. Like, I'm not that kind of person who'll sit back and say, yes, husband, yes, man, yes, nah.
Yeah.
I'll remind you of it. If you don't know your responsibility, I'll remind you you're a man and you are made by God and you're wonderful and you are made to be a leader. So why are you making yourself less than what God made you? But every family has that. So men need to come back and save fellow men. And it might start with the older generation. And even if that won't work, it has to start with someone who's willing to just bring in that kind of mind shift. Because a boy who's grown without some level of control, and by control here, I don't mean manipulation. I mean having parameters of what is right and wrong, how far you can go and how far you can't go. What is the human thing to do? Like, for example, you see somebody drowning, you don't take your phone and start recording, you try to save the person where possible. So if you don't grow up with this kind of values, then you just grow a vessel that anyone can use to manipulate at whichever time they feel like. And so far, our boys have been in this situation because of recent times I've seen a lot of very negative news in the media. And the issue is that, for example, a boy are in college now, they're having a girlfriend. The girlfriend said no to the advances, and they just lure the girl and kill her because he was told no. So boys have grown into such a level that they cannot they cannot take a no.
Yeah.
But why is that? Because the expectation is that everything you want will come to you. That doesn't work in this world. Like, for you to actually achieve anything in life, you have to work for it, and you'll have so many rejection that yeses. So when you're building a boy as a family, what are you telling your boys? Are you giving them leeways to have everything they want? Are you having some controls? Because if you don't give them these controls when they're young, then they are the people who are going to do nasty things. Did you raise up your child to just be the enemy of the world? Because look at it this way. You have a very beautiful daughter. And imagine somebody coming with the news that a boy raped your daughter. How would you feel?
Yeah.
Now, take yourself and be at the boy's situation. Why would a boy have to go to that length? What did he miss? Maybe you are not open to him as a parent. Maybe you have been oppressing him so much. Maybe you've not been listening to him. Remember, these are just human beings like you and I. So if you can afford your time to give your child a moment to listen to them, and you don't afford your boy a time to just interact with you and understand life, then they'll end up doing things because they are calling for attention. If they don't get your attention, they'll call the world's attention. And the world's attention is very wicked. Because when they do things like that, they'll have to deal with the law. If they're lucky. If they're not lucky, they'll be banned just right there and there. They'll be dead. And It's so hard for a mother. It's so hard for a parent, even a father, to go to see your child just wasted like that. I know in every parent there's the desire that your child will be the best person, but that won't happen by magic. So plant men who are intentional, men who can bring something onto your boy. Even if you're a single parent, even if you're a single mother, let the boy grow knowing that there are rules, there are regulations. There are ways to express their emotions. Why do we have to bottle it up? In the African setting, if a boy cries, or even if a man cries in public, that is a very shameful thing.
Oh, it is here
I they'll tell
also. It's here also.
you'll be taunted, you'll be made fun of, you'll be mocked. But why did God give you the tears if he didn't want you to use them?
Yeah. No, in this I can add my comment onto it. People are going to use logic. What you're telling me is completely logical, but logic fails the time emotion come into the picture. So we are trying so hard to disconnect with our emotions, uh, and I can definitely say it's coming from both the genders,
Mm,
because we are also being labeled as we are being too emotional, too irrational, and obsessive. That okay, no, we also want to be logical, and we'll do anything in our power to suppress the emotions. So yeah, that is one thing that
mhm,
we have been scared to express. And likely you said, um,
mm,
acknowledging what has happened and where we are lacking and what can we do to bring the change. Yeah, that's what I think, that people, including me and you and all the people in the society, somehow
mhm.
we are not ready to face the
It,
things that we
it,
have
it,
gone wrong.
it is it's about time we change something if we really want to see a difference, especially save the boys, because the boys are really gentle people.
Yeah.
But we've made them so roughened up that that is what they should be. Who told you they should be? A man should be a lion when the time comes, and he should be a humble calf when the time comes.
I have a question for you. Uh,
Yes, yes.
um, when you mention that, when you see that in your particular home setting, or it's a phrase, it's an example also, that if
Mm,
the man forgets that he's the leader and he is a god's creation, there is nothing that is lacking behind, and you need to be in that powerful leadership position. So
mm.
do you think it is our responsibility as a woman to do that constantly in our men's life? It can be anyone, like our brothers, our fathers, our siblings, our husbands, and our son. Do you think that
I don't.
what you're doing is completely right? I can say that,
Mm,
but
mhm,
it. I'm asking in terms of nurturing that aspect also.
mhm. Now, look at the lady, for example. How do you feel when your man tells you you're beautiful, or your father tells you you're beautiful, you're wonderful, you're God, you're a precious gift? How do you feel?
Oh, that's the best feeling in the world.
Trust me, the man feels that way too.
Hmm.
So it is not necessarily your responsibility, but somebody gotta give.
Yeah.
And in most cases, you decide how your families are. If you're a father, if you're a mother, you decide how your families are gonna be. It isn't your responsibility, but do you want a man who is aware of himself? Do you want a father who is aware of himself? Do you want somebody? It doesn't like. Do we really have to take care of the world? No, we don't. But do we want to live in this world? Yes. So we're gonna have to take care of it.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. So it's just a choice that you make consciously, that I'm going to be helpful to this man because he's grown up not knowing this. I didn't grow up knowing this too, but I
Hmm.
learned. If I
Hmm.
can learn, he can learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
And just because I was a fast learner doesn't mean they'll be a fast learner. So sometimes that constant nudge, like, hey, this is who you are. Remember who you are. You remember who you are. You remember who you are. Constantly.
Yeah. No, I see. But that's a very beautiful expression to remind your uh, partner, your sister,
Mhm.
your brother,
Other, mhm,
your son, what it is
mhm.
to be a human.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. My next question is, which is coming into my mind, is because you have talked about this particular matter in very depth with a lot of people in your podcast. I want to know what is the thing which is lacking when it comes to the partner as a woman that you see in the society, and as the son. What are the things that missing gap which needs to be built and joins the dots so that we can see a harmony? Because
Well,
like you said, when guys are growing up, they are left alone. We forget that they are humans and they also have certain emotional needs, and we have just made this image that you are a man, so you have to be rough and tough, very distant. That's what it is like. And now I can see we are raising women also as a girl, not as a girl, as a boy.
yeah.
So it is the mind shift. So I'm talking not in terms of gender, I'm talking in terms of the mindset. What is the gaps that you can identify and help us understand that what needs to be done in whatever stage that we are in currently? So it goes for our husbands also, it goes for our son also, and it goes for our father and for our siblings also.
You know, I know you probably are not a Christian, but do listen. In Genesis, they say God created man. Then they go on and say, man and woman, He created them. So in one body, God created a human being in one body, and both genders were in this body. By that meaning, it gives the impression of all of us were created equally. Like there was nothing lacking in a woman or in a man by the time people were created. Then the man was made to sleep so that there was a helper. Now, when there was a helper, what happened is God created a human, a girl, a woman out of the man, and gave him a womb so that she could procreate.
Mm,
Now, then the life that was put on the human being, the single human being that is already male and female, was transferred, part of it, to the woman. So the woman is like a gateway to
yeah,
the spiritual life,
yeah.
to the heavens. That means that a woman thinks with her heart because her life is connected to the spirit. The man, because his heart isn't doing that that kind of work, sometimes think too much with his head and forgets the heart. But the woman has been given both the head and both the heart. So she has that advantage. But women have been raised and dominated too much that they stopped using those gifts they had. That doesn't mean that the gift is gone, but it's dormant. So what are we gonna do? Just acknowledge that as a girl, actually I'm more powerful than the man is. And that is the honest truth. I
Mm,
am just made God is good at balancing. He made sure that you're too powerful, but your physical might cannot be as so powerful because if he gave you both things, then you'd think you're a god.
mm,
So he balances. He made you so powerful, but made you physically weak.
mm,
So the guy who remained weak but physically powerful, there can be a balance. So look at the man as somebody who is emotionally weak but physically powerful. What else can you do to him to make him powerful in both ways? So in this life, we exist because we need each other. We don't have the physical strength, but we have the power. They don't have the power, but they have the physical strength. So for both of this to work in unity, we need each other.
mhm.
So the setting of a family, and when we're talking about family, there's so many things that define a family. And I have my own, and I respect other people's kind of opinions on, ideas. But if you can play that role, we were granted the power to dominate the world and be productive. Oh, by God's grace, we were not made to be having children and fill the earth. That is not what productivity means,
Mm,
or procreation. It means we need to use the ability God has granted us to till the land, to work. We were actually made to work, not to procreate.
Hmm.
Like, add another human being. That's not it. That's the misguided intention of people who are not thinking with their hearts. But we were made to work, and working sometimes can be on somebody. We have acknowledged that a girl has been empowered enough to the level where they can now support the boy and remind him of what he was, who he is.
Hmm.
Because at the end of the day, we are actually equal before our maker. So, what can you do to make the boy remember he is himself? I think boys, the major thing that they're really struggling with is that they've been confined, made to think that they can't express themselves so much. But the truth is, they'll find ways to express this. It can be in vices like pornography, or those kind of vices that happen and the boys are at the center, because we've made them think they can't express themselves. But they need to express themselves because they are expressions of our maker. So if you are, I'm not saying everybody will be able to do this, but if you are in a position where you can make the man in your life, your father, your brother, your uncle, whoever it is, remind them of their duties, remind them of their positions. We are not fighting over gender roles. We are not fighting over who is better, who is not. We are actually, at the end of the day, just similar. The only problem is somebody is aware of their power and somebody is not. But
Hmm.
we are all powerful. We can't live by, you don't, your light does not become brighter just because you dim somebody's. If you dim theirs, actually yours just will stay with the way it is. And actually, when yours goes out, nobody will help you to rekindle it. So if you want somebody who will be able to be there to rekindle your light, make them be what you want them to be. Or what they can actually be even better than you. That doesn't matter. I'd rather have somebody who's better than me than worse than me.
Oh yeah. At any given day, on my worst day also, I will prefer somebody who is better than me,
Than
than
worse than
the
me.
person who is not.
Because somebody who's better than me, the probability of them lifting me up are higher than the person who's worse than me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we are all equal. We are all powerful. We express ourselves differently. We have our areas of strength. We have our areas of weaknesses. But for us all to express these things and coexist peacefully, and peaceful is not like hiding things so that someone doesn't feel hurt. It's letting somebody know what they can and cannot do, but within the constraint of the laws of whichever place you are in. You are a human being. You have so much to give. But this idea that a man should cover, not express themselves, a man has to be macho, a man has to show physical. Yeah, you can show all physical strength you want, but how many big leaders have been brought to nothing by women?
Oh yeah.
I will we'll start with was it Samson? Delilah just brought him down. Oh, you remember the president of Lewinsky case? The woman just did a very stupid thing and you're down. Meaning your power is just half of what the power is. Someone else has another part of it. And if you want to grow it, come together.
Mm.
Boys are part of our society, whether we want it or not. And just because we are hurt, because we were hurt as women and we were not made to feel important and we were dominated over, doesn't mean that we give the same, the same energy. Are we better? The only thing that makes us better is if we have the ability to acknowledge that, yeah, you hurt me, but I don't care. I mean, I'm beyond that, but I want to help you. Now that is humanity.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see that there is a crisis which is happening in the humanitarian sector, which is doesn't matter the gender or the demographic.
Mm.
Both men and a woman have been hurt in different spectrum and different scenarios that we have gotten so uh, what do you call, guarded, that we don't want to be soft,
Mm.
and we are shoving our own emotions, and we are like we are somewhat encouraging that this is right, so that I have
Mm.
felt hurt one time, I don't want to go through that, so let's create a society. uh, unconsciously we created a society where we are hurting each other on a regular basis and thinking that, oh, because I got hurt one time and I will make sure that it doesn't happen next time. uh,
Mm,
we are living a very different society. The reality is
mm,
completely different what we have imagined, that our
mhm,
defense mechanism is going to support us, but which is not happening. And somehow we have
mhm.
forgotten that we are humans.
I believe that if you really want to revenge on something, then be better than whatever that thing was.
Yeah, yeah,
Because if you pay in the same level, there's no difference between the two of you.
true, true.
And people talk about mental health, for example, and men are the worst hit by mental health. This is why I say so. Women will always talk with another woman, with another girl about whatever is going on with them, and they'll be able to share. And sharing something is just one way of letting it go, because they're like, oh, I released it.
Yeah.
A man, he's going through something. For let's take the example of maybe a marriage. If my husband is going through something and he doesn't want me to know because I'm a lady,
Mm,
then he'll try to hide it and keep it to himself. He'll not to go to his dad, probably because they don't have that kind of relationship where they communicate freely about their thoughts and feelings, because he never saw his dad talking about anything. So he'll keep it inside.
mm,
So much, he is dying inside and physically manifesting something that is not right.
yeah.
We are in a position where we let people be themselves, let people express themselves. Don't put so many parameters for somebody to thrive. Then
Mm,
they'll be able to, you know what, going through this one. And he won't feel ashamed to tell me because I laugh or do this. Well, if it depends with the relationship, I can laugh and still help, or give a solution.
yeah. Yeah.
But if people feel like they can't express themselves, I think the suicide rate is higher in men than in women,
Mm,
because men have been made not to express themselves.
mm,
They've been made to think that they have to be strong all the time. Nobody's ever strong all the time. It's not a human thing to be strong all the time. It's abnormal.
that's why the God has given us men, so that we can be strong while we are going through our own stuff, and at the same time have the strength by being soft also. And
Mm,
for boys, they are given girls so that they can have the strength in their weakest of moment by being soft. And we have forgotten that.
mm.
Yeah. And it is how should I express? It is like unsaid. Like, for example, let's me and my girlfriends are sitting and having a discussion, and we don't say it, but we all know that there is an underlining issue that we are addressing. That yes, we have become very empowered, we have the money, we have everything, but we miss men in our life. Like, genuinely
Mhm.
miss it.
Honestly, yes.
And at the same time we are ready to work on the situation. It's like, if I
Mm,
find a man and we are not asking for like 10 different checklists, that if he's this, if
mm,
he's that, then we are fine with it and we'll take him in as my partner or as my
mm,
potential partner. But yes, we do miss him a lot. And some, as women, we find ourselves lost without men. I don't know about
and they
you.
don't know.
You can
They
tell.
don't know. No, they actually don't know that that you feel lost because you've been projecting the person that looks like you have everything figured out. That's
Mm,
why when they come to you, they're like, how can I come in? Like, whatever. In the early days, men were known to work and bring in the food, but now they don't have to do that for the food to be on the table. So they're like, okay, what is my usefulness? Any man who does not feel useful usually feel undervalued, and then they start, you know, um, trying on themselves.
mm,
As long as the man feel useful within the society they are in, that man is a lot of superpower. They need that being useful. Respect comes after being useful. They
mm.
can be respect, but who respects someone who's not useful anyway?
Yeah, yeah.
So as long as they feel useful, they'll be fired up to do anything they want to do. I mean, look at the corporate world. A man in the corporate world tells a man who is missing in the home, he's all macho, he's all a leader, he's all very thoughtful, he has everything figured out at the corporate space. But when he comes home, he's just like, you got, hey dear, do you think we should have this? Oh, what do you think? I mean, what do you mean, what do I think? You have a mind of yourself, you can tell me what you think. That's why I asked you. If I knew what to think, I wouldn't ask you.
Hmm.
But I don't know if they just pull out that clothing of corporate and come home and it's just something else. That's where now our problem is. Because when you go to the corporate world, the man is aggressive. He knows what he wants. He's so understanding of where he's going. His direction is so, he has that laser focus understanding of where he's going. But when he comes to the home, he is a humble little kitty. Why?
Yeah.
Because because they have no idea that they the family space wants them to be just as aggressive as leaders as they can be. And aggressive is not in the negative term. It's being there for your family, understanding what's going on, being current with what's going on. Is your child emotionally able, okay? If you see, like, do you talk to your kids like, oh, today, what are you doing today? What kind of game is, if they love football, what game is it that's going on? I know a lot of females don't give a damn about football or soccer, but if a man figure is around, that is their area of interest, they'll talk about it. They'll feel, now they're starting to feel useful because they are being asked something that nobody else knows. So it's about being useful. Everyone wants to be useful. Even the lady wants to be told, oh, your cooking is awesome. Okay. She'll cook even more.
Agreed.
But if you don't make somebody feel useful within the space they are, because sometimes they do things they don't know they're being useful. So try to be the person who says that is useful, that is helpful. Yeah. Then it makes them, somebody who's made to feel useful will want to outdo themselves. Someone who's made to feel useless will try to disappear out of that space so that they don't go through the shame of being useless. So how are we giving our boys that energy they need, that injection of energy? You're useful. Yeah, they'll do a lot of nasty things, a lot of stupid things. People grow up and all that. Even adults do very nasty things sometimes. But how do we counter that? Because a lady who's, I don't know, cheated on the boyfriend will come back and say, I'm sorry, honey. And they want the boyfriend to just look at the good things about them and everything should be fine. The same way, yes, a man comes and they messed up. They're hoping that you actually will just focus on the good things about them and say, it's okay. The kind of thing you want to be served to is the same you should serve to someone else. It's just, actually, that wraps it up. Whatever you do to somebody else, do you want it to be done to you? Because if you don't want it to be done to you, don't do it. Do you want to be good? Yeah.
That's deep. That's really deep. Very interestingly, there is one point that we both discussed in earlier recordings, which gave me the insight that yes, I'm in that age group where I can say that I am constantly thinking about what kind of a future my children are going to live into. Specifically, my boys. I know how to educate and how to empower my girl, but if I have a boy, I don't know what to do. And I don't want my boy to be labeled that he's very aggressive, he is distant, that he's very needy, um,
Mm,
or labeled as a rapist or a molester. This is not something which is
mm,
very nice to hear as a mother, but I'm not a
mm.
mother. At the same time, yes, there are certain expectations that we have when it comes to our partners also. Um,
Yeah.
and we got into this discussion where we were talking about our experiences and everything, and Maureen mentioned that there is no global representation of men. We are
Yeah.
saving the trees, we are saving the planet, we are talking about women's empowerment, everything, but when we specifically look for men, there is nothing.
Mhm.
So there
Yeah,
can
yeah,
be two or three situations. which I can think of. First, we are saying that men are completely perfect. Okay. So whatever they do, that is completely right. Second, it's like we don't need. So we are isolating a certain sector of the population completely, which is not right. And the thirdly, we still haven't understood the problem and challenges men are facing, and we don't know how to support them. And that got me exciting when I was talking to Maureen, and she mentioned that, yeah, we are not talking about men in our life, and we are not talking about boys and how to raise a boy.
Actually, maybe on a global spectrum, I don't think that the SDGs are looking at the man, because even in the area where they're talking about gender and equality, it is just
Gender
about
equality.
achieving a gender equality and empower all women and girls. That is
Yeah.
what they're talking about.
Yeah.
They're not talking about that man. But I'm actually happy to report that it's not all gloom, because in our South Africa, I think there is a group. I think it's called Empower something, Empower Man, or something to that extent. And what they do is they bring men to mentor men. So it's kind of, they do workshops sometimes, and they bring different men in different categories who speak to other men. A man who's spoken to and goes home will lead very well at home. And it's for men stepping up for men. And I really love that. I was given by actually I was given access to that information by another good friend of mine from South Africa. And he told me, you just come up with the best idea ever, because I've really wanted to start something that focuses on the boy, but I procrastinate a lot. So let me tell you something that is going on in South Africa. There are men that are talking to men about men talking about men, talking to men about boys, and it's
Mm.
a process where they just open up. They tell each other the truth, because there's no woman there to tell them, you shouldn't say that. No, they're just being really vulnerable and talking about their issues. And this range from mental health, it ranges from workspace and every single space, even in the family, even for those who have no family, like just how are men, what is missing, what can we do, what does this mean to you? And
Yeah.
that is really valuable, because it has to start from somewhere, and I'm really glad that is going on. Then in Uganda, there's a group that are Empower Boys. So they offer sessions during which, probably when the school closed down, boys be can go to the camp, and they just relate as boys. Do things that boys like boxing, jumping ropes, doing this, just be free. And when you go to a boy and start to talk to him in a space where he is free, he's most
Mm.
likely to open up. And that is really something that is going on right now in Uganda. In Kenya, there could be a number of them, but I know of a man called Mr. Robert Burale. He he's a pastor. So what he does is he tries to rally men to be spiritually connected to God, but
Mm.
also remind them of their values and their roles as men in the society.
Mm.
And for me, those are encouraging, because these are things done by men for men. So
Mm.
I'm coming into a space where at least it's not all gloom, and we are just, all of us have to just pick wherever place we can pick. And nothing works if the society does not support. Remember what we said before, we are now the society. So I gotta pull this side, you gotta pull that side, we gotta do this. And that's how it
Mm.
works. And I'm really, oh, actually, there's also a man, I think he's in the US by the name Johnson. I don't remember the full name. He has something called the cave. Now, this cave is where he takes boys. He's a
Mm.
martial artist.
Mm.
He trains them, and when he's training them, he lets them let their emotions out.
Mm.
Like, how did you feel? Like, when he's doing this, he lets them be aware of what they feel, because men don't even know what they feel. They don't even know how to express what they don't even know how to call it. So he takes boys during that training. He focuses on a certain emotion and try to let the boy, like, at this point, what is it you're feeling? Do you even know how to describe what you're feeling?
Mm.
because sometimes you feel angry, maybe you're bullied at school, and it brought out certain emotions. And I was so happy when he mentioned that there's a boy he trained, and while he was at school, there's a boy who kept um, bullying him because he was larger and all that stuff. And he kept being very, very, very quiet and trying to avoid any possible fight. But it reached a point where he had to stand for himself. So what he did, he wrestled the boy,
Mm.
and when the boy's head was about to hit the floor, he put his leg so that he protected the boy's leg. Remember, this is the boy who's bullied him.
Yeah.
By every feel, he had every right to let him slam his head on the floor. But just being aware that you can be a lion, you know, but
Mm.
still be humble enough to acknowledge that you are a human being. For
Yeah.
me, I really love what he's doing, and this all these groups, I'm looking at them very keenly because they're giving me very much inspirations. I love what is going on in the world. It's not all gloom, and I'm so happy about that. Actually, it's making me lighten up so much.
No, what you said, that got me excited. I haven't heard anything happening in India. I am damn sure that it is happening, but it hasn't reached to my ears. And I have seen this happen in like big joint family groups, like where there are a lot of people in the house. Then they are doing it. But yeah, I am really excited that it is happening in Africa, where like it doesn't matter that you are not isolated, like only the men from my family are doing this, because end of the day we
Mhm.
need perspective from multiple people and multiple households. We
Mhm.
can't be just like, if I have 10 men in my family and they are doing it, it is not going to be very supportive. We are just repeating the same
Mhm.
pattern. It can be good, it can be bad. We need that external perspective. And I'm happy to hear, and I hope one day I find such group of men uh, reaching out to me and sharing their experience. That would be something really that, yes, I'm proud that that is happening in India, but I hope that happens very soon. And yeah, amazing.
I realize also that most men are not really they're not ready yet to open up because they haven't probably seen someone opening up about their situations. So I'm hoping that the podcast will give them that platform. Like, okay, that is a man. He's opening up about this and that, and oh, it's okay to talk about this, and that would be more helpful because as long as they know there's someone who's doing it, then they know, oh, I can do it because well, people are doing it, so it's not so sad.
Yeah. Oh, I love this. I love this. That's one of the reasons that we are doing the podcast. That as women, we want men in our life. We want men in our communities and in our countries, and be the leaders that they are. But at the same time, it
Yeah.
is not that we have to give our powers back. We can. We don't have to
Mhm.
share. What I have, I have. What they have, they have. We just have to find the
Mhm.
perfect balance so that we can ride through the ups and downs of life in general. And
Absolutely.
yeah, so thank you so much, Maureen, for sharing your perspective, your experiences, and what you are focusing on, and giving me that space to open up about this particular topic, because I haven't talked about this particular issue
Yeah.
ever. This happens on a very close room, but it doesn't happen on in front of a camera, which is something very, very vulnerable. Because
Yeah.
we don't know how to express, and you have given me that opportunity to express myself and understand a lot of perspective coming from you, and making me understand that what I can do, not just
Mhm.
empowering people with mental health or women and girls. What can I do
Yeah.
to empower the men in our life, because we love them, we want them, and we adore them. So thank you so much. Any last thoughts that you want to share with us?
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. Actually, this is the first podcast I'm being a guest to, especially when I started the Boy Thrive podcast. And the thing that really at the end of the day really matters is that we cannot afford to ignore boys anymore because we cannot afford to have a woman empowered so much, but they don't have a place to thrive.
Yeah.
And we are so focused on the woman, but we are not looking at how to make her environment conducive for her to express her empowerment.
Yeah.
The boy, if is empowered as well, will know where to support the woman.
Hmm.
How selfish that is, eh?
It is
Because we
a
want
collaboration to me.
yeah, we want the woman to express that empowerment. But if we don't give her the conducive space to do so, then it's useless. The roads, then it makes no difference. You're just wasting it. So let us make our Tesla, but remember to make the roads as well in
That's
short form.
beautiful. That's beautiful. If somebody didn't understand that, they will understand by this explanation for sure. We understand cars more than we understand people that we love.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you have something that is of value, of quality, you want it to ride on somewhere that is quality. So let's make that quality man for that quality woman. It's just that simple.
Thank you so much, Maureen. Thank you for sharing your story with us specifically. I know it's hard for to share the stories that we have lived through, but at the same time, it gives us the courage and perspective that what can we do and how great we are in whatever capacity that we are living. So thank you so much. And yes, well,
Thank you so
this
much
is from
for
India
hosting.
to Kenya,
Pleasure. Mhm.
and we'll talk to you later. Bye.
Okay, thank you so much. It's a pleasure. Bye.